create an argumentative body paragraph. So what we're looking at right now is an outline, and this is the same outline that you received for this assignment a couple weeks ago. So if we take a look at our outline, our question is, should fidget spinners be allowed at school? And if we look at this outline, the first thing we need to do is we need to create a topic sentence. And notice how the parentheses tell us how we're going to create a topic sentence. So our topic sentence is restate and answer the question. So our question again is, should fidget spinners be allowed at school? And we need to first create an opinion. So we're either going to be on the yes side or we're going to be on the no side. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take this should and we're going to move it to right there. And that's all we need to do. So if I'm on the should side, I'm going to say fidget spinners should be allowed at school. If I'm on the shouldn't side, I would say fidget spinners shouldn't be allowed at school. I'm going to be on the shouldn't side. Now, one thing I do want to talk about, there's a few things that we want to try to avoid when creating a topic sentence. First of all, we want to try to avoid because. Because if we put fidget spinners should be allowed at school because they're fun, for example, now my whole paragraph has to be about how fidget spinners are fun. That really narrows my focus. So we really don't want a because in our topic sentence. We want to keep it as broad as possible. Also, we never want to begin our topic sentence with a yes or no. Yes, fidget spinners should be allowed at school, or no, fidget spinners shouldn't be allowed at school. It's a stronger topic sentence to just write it like we have it here, where we just move the should or shouldn't. After that's finished, my next job is I'm going to find a piece of text evidence. And notice, before we use a piece of text evidence, we need to first give credit to the text. Also notice, if we go back up, our goal here is to use one paraphrase piece of text evidence and one quoted piece of text evidence. It doesn't matter what order we use it in, but we do want one of each. So what we need to do is we need to look for a piece of text evidence. So I'm going to go back to the article. Notice how this article is broken up into two sections. So if you think fidget spinners should be allowed at school, you're going to be focusing on this portion of the article. If you think fidget spinners should not be allowed at school, you're going to focus on this part of the article. I'm going to focus on this part, of course, because I picked the should not side. And again, I can either paraphrase or quote, doesn't matter which order I'm going to do it in, but I think I'm going to start on a paraphrase. So I'm going to go down to the second paragraph where it says, you mentioned that fidget spinners help with concentration. So I'm looking at that paragraph, and remember when I paraphrase, my goal is to put what the text says into my own words. And remember we talked about how when you paraphrase, it's easier to paraphrase a section or a paragraph rather than a sentence. And one effective way to paraphrase a paragraph is to read it and then try to rewrite it just using the important parts of what you remember. So when we look at this, the parts that stand out to me in this second paragraph is how psychologists basically are telling us that they don't really believe that fidget spinners help with concentration. Now, if we go back to our outline, so that's what I'm going to use, I'm going to paraphrase that. If we go back to our outline, notice how we need to give credit to the text first. So that takes us to our sentence starters. And this page should be in your interactive notebook, and of course you can use your interactive notebook when you're writing these papers because it is a resource. Also notice we're up top, so we're using the top sentence starters because we're paraphrasing. Notice how the bottom section is for quoting, so we're going to use that next time. So I'm just going to put, I think I'm going to go with the second one, author states. Now of course I can't just say author states, I need to actually use the author's last name. So I'm going to go back to our article and I'm going to see who is the author of this article. So if I scroll down, of course the author's principal Schwartz, so I'm going to say Schwartz states. Now that I have my sentence starter, I'm ready to paraphrase that section. So I'm going to put something like psychologists don't believe that fidget spinners help with concentration. Next thing I need to do, since I chose to paraphrase first, I'm going to quote. I'm going to look for a sentence in the article that proves that fidget spinners should not be allowed at school. Remember, when I quote, I need to use the author's exact words. So when I find a sentence, I need to say it word for word. I can't even change one word. So the sentence I'm going to use is in this paragraph below the one we just paraphrased. About the second sentence, it says, even quiet fidget spinners are visually distracting. Now remember, if we go back to our outline, and remember, before we quote, we need to give credit to the text. So we're going to go back to our sentence starters, and remember, this time we're paraphrasing, so this time we're actually on the bottom section. And remember, the only difference is between using a sentence starters for paraphrasing and a sentence starter for quoting. The sentence starter for quoting, we need a page number. So I'm going to take the first one. I'm going to put on page blank, author says. Now, of course, I can't write that. I need to actually fill in the exact page number, and I also need to fill in the author's last name. So first I'm going to go back to the article. I'm going to see if I can figure out what page this was on. This is on page 27. And I'm going to put something like, on page 27, Schwartz says. Now I'm ready for my quote. Remember, a quote needs quotation marks, and again, I have to say the sentence exactly how it appears. So I'm going to put, even quiet fidget spinners are visually distracting. Now that I have my outline filled out, I'm ready to begin typing my paper. And the cool thing about filling in the outline is once you've done that, you pretty much have done all the work, because all we need to do is transfer our outline to our paper. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up top, and we're going to write our topic sentence. So my first sentence is going to be, fidget spinners shouldn't be allowed at school. Now if you haven't noticed, I am working on an iPad here, so it's going to be a little bit different than working on a computer. That's why it looks a little different. But you guys are pretty good at working in Google Docs, so I'm pretty confident that you're good at this part. One thing I do want to point out is the topic sentence is the first sentence in this paragraph. So this topic sentence is not a title sentence. It doesn't get centered. It doesn't go like way above the rest of the paragraph. This is the beginning sentence in our paragraph. And I see a lot of people treat a topic sentence like a title, but it's not. It's our first sentence. Now if we go back to an outline, because we need to color code these, you're going to notice that on our outline, it actually tells us what color we should be color coding it. So notice how the topic sentence is purple. And again, I'm working on an iPad, so this is a little bit different than what you guys need to do in your color coding. But again, I think you guys are really good at highlighting, so I'm not too concerned about that. But if you guys do need help highlighting on a computer, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to show you how to highlight. So we're going to highlight this topic sentence purple. And now I'm ready for my next sentence. So if I go back to my outline, my next sentence says, Schwartz states. Now my next job is I'm going to color code this. So if I go back to my outline, we're going to notice that, again, this tells us what colors we need. So notice green is our giving credit to the text goal. So when I use a sentence starter, it needs to be green. So when I see Schwartz states, that's of course going to be highlighted green. And since this is paraphrase, that's going to be our orange goal. You can use your cheat sheet in your interactive notebook. That's on your first page, and that's going to tell you exactly which goal is which. So that's always a good resource if you don't remember what goal is which. Now that that's highlighted, my next job is I'm going to type my last sentence from my outline. So on page 27, Schwartz says, even quiet fidget spinners are visually distracting. Couple things to notice with a quote. First of all, notice how we have quotation marks before our first word of our quote, and we also have it after our last word of our quote. And those are very important because that tells our readers that it is the author's exact words. Without those, the reader wouldn't know that we're using the author's exact words. So now we're going to color our sentence starter green, just like before, and then of course quoting is our red goal. So we're going to color code this last sentence red. And that's how to write an argumentative body paragraph. So your job is to log into your fidget spinner paragraph and fix the comments that I inserted in there.